2022 is coming. Are you ready? I don't know whether I am, but it's coming anyway, so we're gonna have to deal with it. Of course, as per tradition on my channel, it's time to do my bullet journal setup for the beginning of the year. I can't believe that this is going to be my 6th year bullet journaling. If my bullet journal journey was a small baby, they would already be going to school. So that kind of puts things into perspective, but I always do mention that I see these videos and my bullet journal as a time capsule. So it's been a very interesting journey, and what I get out of bullet journaling, and also of course my style for bullet journaling, has evolved and changed over the years. I know that there are probably going to be some people watching this who want to try bullet journaling for the first time and are new to all of this, so if you are, welcome. But seeing as this is going to be my 6th year bullet journaling, that does mean I have 5 years worth of bullet journal videos up already. So if you are new to bullet journaling and you want to kind of jump in, I maybe would recommend kind of starting out with some of my earlier videos, especially my 2017 ones, because that was the year that I started. So I will have all of those linked down below. Even if you aren't new to bullet journaling and you maybe just want some more inspiration for your 2022 bullet journal, I will link all of that. Again, there's like years of content there, so I'm sure you'll find something. As of right now, I do not know exactly which notebook color I'll be using. It's definitely going to be one of the Colored Edge Shop AmandaRachLee notebooks, which I'll link down below. But I did leave it to a vote for you guys. You probably have seen it in the thumbnail by now, but I currently do not know. So let's just get into it. If you're planning with me, grab your notebooks and your pencil case, and if you're just chilling, that's cool too. Let's go. So the notebook that I ended up deciding to use is the Shop AmandaRachLee taupe dotted notebook with the colored edge. I asked you guys in my flip through video which color you thought I should use. There were a lot of votes for lilac because of the Pantone color of the year, but I did settle on the taupe just for some neutral vibes, and I love it. I will also link a little coupon code for the Shop AmandaRachLee dotted notebooks in case you need one for the new year, so check that out down below. But anyways, always the first thing that I do whenever I crack open a brand new notebook is to write my name. Now, this kind of gives a hint as to what the overall theme for this year's bullet journal setup is going to look like for me. As you can see, I wrote out my name with some white gel pen on some black paper, and I'm cutting those out into squares so that it kind of looks like magazine letters. And I'm kind of sticking them randomly on top of the little nameplate, and we are ready to get officially started with this year's bullet journal setup. Alright, so flipping over onto the first page, I decided to create a 2022 title page, and again, creating those fake faux magazine letters on this black piece of paper. And yes, if you've seen my previous videos, then you've probably noted that this 2022 bullet journal setup is inspired by a monthly setup that I did this past year in August 2021, and it was inspired by kind of 90s Y2K culture, but also Olivia Rodrigo's Sour album, with just this very like teenage diary style of journaling where you're like cutting out magazine letters, doodling stars and hearts all over it, and I just had a blast doing this theme in August, so I thought it would be a great basis to start off this new bullet journal for the new year as well. When I did that monthly setup, I mentioned that it felt like I was releasing my inner child, and it was great because, you know, nothing needed to be perfect. Like these magazine letters, as you can see, I'm just kind of having fun with the lettering. I get to experiment with different styles of lettering as well, and it really did release a lot of the pressure, quote-unquote pressure, that I think people have when they start a new notebook. So that's why I thought that this would be a good theme to base my 2022 setup on, and besides that, I think it just looks really cute and also very easy to do because, as you can see, I wasn't drawing too much. These are truly little doodles in the spirit of my channel. I'm just doodling hearts and stars, and as you can see, the quote page says, "Welcome 2022, I'm ready for you." Other than that, I just added some of the dark monochrome Shop AmandaRachLee washi tape to it to finish it off, and there you go. Flipping over to the next page, if you've seen any of my bullet journal setups before, then you know that I like to have this page that I like to call my grid spacing cheat sheet on the left side of the spread at the beginning of my notebook so that whenever I'm setting up a weekly spread or something like that, I can easily flip to it and refer to it at the beginning of my notebook. Now, I do have a completely separate video explaining how I use this grid spacing guideline cheat sheet page. So if you're confused at all as to what this is used for or how I use it, then I will link that video because I explain it a lot better there. You can also check out my other setup videos, which I will have linked down below anyway. I think just in general, it is good to check out a bunch of setup videos so that you can see what you like and get more inspiration. I mean, I've definitely changed my bullet journal over the years, and especially the style as well. So if you're looking for maybe something more simple, maybe check out my older setups, something more colorful. I have a couple slightly more colorful setups in previous years. I mean, nothing too crazy. I feel like I always keep these beginning of the year bullet journal setups relatively neutral because they do kind of act like an umbrella for the rest of the year setups. But that's besides the point. As you can see, I'm just finishing off by adding all of the little guidelines for the grid spacing divisions on this spread, and then I'm just creating the title in the bottom left corner with those same faux magazine letters. The black paper that I'm using will also be linked down below, as well as the white gel pen. I get a ton of questions on the materials that I use and my supplies. Just be sure that everything will be linked down below. I promise you guys it's there, so if you have any questions, I would just check that out. Now that this spread is complete, we can move on to the next page, which is going to be my 2022 goals pages. You guys will see what I mean. So for this, as you can see, I'm cutting off the top third of the page, and I'm also kind of cutting off a little bit of the edge, and that's just so that we can make some little tabs here. So there you go. I made a little tab for my goals page, and this is because I'm going to be dividing out my goals into kind of categories. First, before we do that though, I am creating this little title header by sticking down some lined paper for the scrapbooky vibes and then writing out goals in my little magazine letter font. Once I attach those down with my roller adhesive, I now have a cute header, and what's good about this is that because we kind of cut off the top half of that page, the header kind of applies to both pages of the goals, which normally if I used up 2 pages for goals, I would kind of have to create 2 separate title headers, but we are efficient up in here. Anyway, so for those bottom file folder pages is what I'll call them, I just colored those tabs black with my marker, and I labeled those tabs with the categories of my goals that I wanted to separate them out into. So one is for personal and one is for work. And then within those pages, I just kind of have different prompts. You guys can use your own prompts or categories if you want to do this. But for me, in my personal goals, I have a focused priority section for my main kind of priority goals. I have a place for my affirmations, and then for the work goals, I also have a place for my focused priority goals, but then also a place for like big dreams and manifestations, which I always do because sometimes you have to dream big. It's like that, what's that quote? Shoot for the moon, you might accidentally land on a star, something like that. Anyway, next we have our future log, and I did a very similar future log as last year where I kind of created a mini book within my notebook with these file folders, also because of course I had just made file folders with the goals page, so I thought that this would suit the kind of overall vibe I have going here. Basically what I did was I cut 2 pages and cut that border edge around it, leaving some space for tabs for both of these, and this is because I will be splitting up each page into sections. I'll have 2 months per page, and you can kind of flip through with the tabs, and this just makes it so that, again, I don't need to recreate the title at the top for future log, and it's very easy to like flip through the whole year. If you, again, do not know what a future log is for, I would recommend checking out some of my previous bullet journal setup videos where I explain it. But this is essentially a place for you to write down any far in the future tasks, which is why we have every single month for the year. So for example, right now, obviously it's too early for me to create my September setup, but if I had something that I knew was going to be happening in September 2022, then I would write it down here, and that way when I am setting up my September bullet journal, I can refer to this and kind of input those events and tasks and everything into the monthly setup. So that's kind of like a quick, brief rundown. Whenever I explain the bullet journaling system to beginners, I kind of like to explain it as a funnel system. It's also very repetitive, but that kind of adds to the system. So here we're starting out with big, as in like future, and then when we go to monthlies, you know, kind of gets smaller and smaller, and then when you get to your daily sections, that's when you have like your micro tasks and everything like that. So again, I hope that makes sense. As you can see here, this is where I'm just writing out the titles of the month on each of the pages. So we have January all the way through December. And for this, I'm just writing it out in cursive, not using a brush pen or anything, just my black fine liner. This is I think this is the 10 thickness fine liner from Sakura Pigma Micron. So it is on the thicker side, just because I wanted that bolder look. Underneath those monthly titles is where I will be drawing out the mini calendars for the year. Now, this is probably the most tedious task of beginning of the year setups. And honestly, there are things nowadays that makes this easier. You know, they have like stickers and stamps of mini calendars and stuff like that, which I probably should look into. But honestly, it's really not that bad once you kind of get in the zone. I was listening to like a podcast, I think, and it's one of those like mindless tasks that you can just kind of get lost in, and before you know it, you've created 12 mini calendars for the new year. So I kept it simple in terms of the boxes though. I just drew a rectangle in the shape of the calendar and then wrote out the numbers with my thinner fine liner, really making sure that I do not mess up these numbers. I've mentioned this before, but there was an incident one year where I messed up a number and then all of the numbers got shifted, had to redo them. It was not good. So learn from my mistakes, make sure the numbers are correct, or just look into those like stamps and stickers that have it done for you, which again, I should probably look into that because it would save me a lot of time. But you know what? It's fine. This is more handmade and it came from my fingertips, so I'm proud of myself for doing it. So underneath these mini calendars is where I'm putting any future events. It's also where I put like birthdays, anniversaries, stuff like that. And to just kind of go further with this theme, I wanted to cut out these lined paper sheets and put them underneath so that it looks even more like a kind of teenage notebook diary type of thing. And also it just worked perfectly with like the lists that I'm going to be making under these anyway. So I just did these little columns of lined paper throughout all of the months, and that is my very cute future log. I know I might be biased, but I really do think this spread is very cute. I enjoy looking at it. Okay, moving on. Now I'm creating a spread for me to write down any things that I want to check out for the year, and I always aptly call it Things to Check Out spread. I know, a creative title, but I'm just cutting out my black pieces of paper into some rectangles just so that I can section it off into different categories. So I have a section for TV shows, dramas, animes, movies, books, and podcasts. And I very simply just titled it with cursive lettering with my white gel pen. This is the Uniball Signo in Broad, which I have recently rediscovered. I don't know why I ever stopped using this white gel pen because it's the best. As you can see, it's very pigmented and white, and I love it. And to add a little bit of difference to this spread, because All the previous spreads I was using the black paper to create those faux magazine letters. So this time I did it on the lined paper. Just did the exact same thing except with my black fine liner and cut out those letters and just placed them all along the top. Seeing as this spread is very empty right now, if you guys have any must-watch TV shows, movies, books, anything of the sort, leave them in the comments down below so that I can look through and see what is the most suggested for this year. On the right side, as you can see, there's a space, and this is just so that I can put down anything that I am currently watching. Sometimes when I write down things to check out, I don't always follow through. That is a problem of mine. My toxic trait is saying I'll check out a show when a friend suggests it to me and then not actually doing it, which I know is bad. I know it's bad, but I'm working on it. So that's why I have a section on the right side for completed series or movies or books. Alright, so the next spread is a very simple one. This is just a spread for me to brainstorm anything for Shop AmandaRachLee. It's going to be like my brain dump page at the beginning of the year. At the beginning of each year, I always like to sit down and really kind of spew out my thoughts about Shop AmandaRachLee and where I want to take it for the year, any kind of like future launches for the year, stuff like that, whether it ends up happening. You know, that's all up to logistics, and obviously things come up during the year, but I do think it's nice to have one place to kind of mind map everything. I don't want to talk about Shop AmandaRachLee too much, but I will say that I had been working on a lot of things for Shop AmandaRachLee in 2021 that couldn't happen last year, so they probably will happen in 2022, and I also have a lot of big ideas as well, so I'm just super excited, and I hope you guys stay tuned to see what happens. Alright, we are almost at the end of the setup here. This spread that I'm making right now is like my wish list, gift list spread. This is something that I implemented last year, and it honestly really came into handy. So like the names of the headers suggest, one is for my wish list, things that I want to buy, big or small. Also because whenever like my parents ask me when my birthday comes around, what do you want? Usually I get stuck, but last year I was able to just refer to my wish list. And then similarly with the gift list, whenever I have any idea of something to get like a friend or a family for Christmas in the future, I write it down there. Also came in handy this Christmas because I was able to finish my Christmas shopping super quick just by referring to my wish list that I had set up before. So I highly recommend this. It's just an empty box underneath because basically what I'll just write is like the name of the person and then the gift idea underneath it. Pretty simple. Okay, we're on the final spread, I think, over here, which is my favorite spread to do at the beginning of every new notebook, and that is my 2022 highlight reel / my year in Polaroid pictures, my year in photos, whatever you want to call it. It's like my favorite thing to look at throughout all of my bullet journals. I love doing this spread. And as I mentioned in my flip through video, I really wanted to have more spaces for photos for this year. So for this year, I made sure to have spaces for 2 photos per month. So as you can see here, I cut off the edge side of it as well so that I can create those tabs that we've been creating throughout the setup. And I have this title page that says 2022 highlight reel, and that way when I flip to the other side, I am just able to have only the photos. After quickly decorating that little cover page, I am labeling those little tabby things with the months for each little tab. And then you'll see when I flip over here, I'm just using Polaroids that I had before to trace out the shape and size, and that way I can just mark out where I want all of the photos here. Now, like I said, I wanted to do 2 per month, so the top 2 in the left is for January, underneath it February, top right March, bottom right April. However, I am not doing the full year, so this is not January all the way through December. This is actually January through June, and this is because pretty much I know my bullet journaling style because I've been doing it for so long, and I know that I fit 6 months into one notebook, so I usually get to go through January to June in the first notebook, and then I switch into a new notebook and it's the rest of the year. So that's why I just did up to June, and when I'm setting up my new notebook, I will do the same for the rest of the months. So I'll probably do the similar thing with the 2 photos per month. Guys, we're done. This is my full 2022 bullet journal setup. I think my setup this year is so cute. It just makes me so happy looking at it because it reminds me of my teenage self, and I am just so excited for a fresh notebook, fresh new year, fresh start, all of the things, and this setup is definitely going to help with that. It just sparks joy for me when I look at it, which I think is how it should be. I also like that I think it's relatively easy for you guys to recreate in terms of the doodles and the supplies and everything, because I love seeing you guys recreate my setups and put your own spin on it. So hopefully this acted as a nice little bit of inspiration for you guys if you are setting up your own 2022 bullet journals. Alright, I hope you enjoyed seeing yet another bullet journal setup from me. This is starting to feel like a really long-standing tradition. I don't know how long I'll be doing these. Who knows, maybe I'll be doing these well into my older age and you'll be seeing me as a grandma still doing these videos. As I mentioned, this is going to be my 6th year bullet journaling, which does feel kind of special because it's also going to be my 10th year on YouTube. So that's kind of wild. But nonetheless, I am very excited for this year. I know I get excited at the beginning of every year just because it does feel like a fresh start, but there are a lot of secret projects that I wasn't allowed to talk about in 2021 that I will be able to talk about in 2022. So I'm very excited to reveal all of that to you guys. Of course, put out more videos, more themes, more doodles, everything. So I did just want to end this video by saying thank you. I do get kind of sappy during these videos because to me on my channel it marks like the end of a previous year and the beginning of next year, and it's just kind of like a clear divider between years on my channel. So I'm just excited to see where things go, and I am so appreciative of the little doodle community. So thank you for the love and for the support on not only my videos but also on Shop AmandaRachLee and all other projects and everything. I'm so grateful, and I hope you all achieve whatever you set out to achieve in 2022. So I'm sending you guys good luck and good energy for the new year. Oh my god, I talk so much. Okay, Amanda, stop talking. It's not like this is your last YouTube video ever. I'm gonna sign off now, so keep doodling. Bye.